Hey beauty, today I just wanted to provide you with some hope while you're waiting to see healing in your body, hope for when you're waiting for a breakthrough in your marriage or with your kids or with your business or with your friendships, whatever you're waiting for. I just wanted to give you some hope and remind you of who you serve. Before that, I just wanted to also remind you of a free guide that I have for you, 4 steps to feel better from autoimmunity, gut issues, and chronic symptoms. I also have 70 Bible passages for health, healing, and choosing faith over fear. These guides are completely free. Just go to herholistichealing.com/freebie if you are interested in downloading these. With all that being said, let's get into the show. Welcome to Her Holistic Healing. Do you want more energy and less anxiety so that you can do all the things? Are you searching for meal ideas, essential oils, and other holistic treatments? Do you wish you could know which direction to take with your health so that you could finally feel better? Hey, I'm Alexandra. I love Jesus. I'm a wife, mom of 3, and registered nurse with years of experience in clinical research. I also wanted more energy so that I could have more fun and keep up with my growing child. I too was confused about all the different diet and treatment options. I too wanted to wake up every day and feel good, but I felt anxious because I couldn't solve the mystery of my health. Until God showed me that He is the source of true healing. In this podcast, you will learn holistic treatments and Bible truths that will lead you to the peace, joy, and freedom that you have been hoping for. So what do you say we take a break from the mind-numbing humdrum busyness? Let's rest and let God be our healer and helper. Genesis 1:29, and God said, "Behold, I have given you every plant yielding seed that is on the face of all the earth, and every tree with seed in its fruit. You shall have them for food." God is our provider. Today I want to give you some hope for your health journey or help for anything that you're waiting for, because pretty much all of us are waiting for something, right? Some of us want healing for our health, right? Some of us want to pay off debt. Some of us want to see breakthroughs in our marriages or with our kids. So you probably, if you've been listening to the podcast, you've probably heard my story, but I'll tell you again really quick. So in the past, I had some skin challenges. I had really bad rashes all over my hands, my arms, spread to my face, my foot, my underarms on the worst days. It was just extremely itchy. I also had brain fog, inflammation, was irritated. It was brain fog, but also to the point where it felt like my physical vision also got blurry. It's just, I feel like my body just really needed a detox. I was just really inflamed. Some doctors called it psoriasis. Whatever it is, whatever it was, every now and then I have skin flares, but it's gotten a lot better. I just had a small skin flare and it's just about completely cleared up. But I remember going to see a functional medicine practitioner because in the past I had used topical steroids to get rid of the symptoms, but then there was a period of time where I stopped all the steroids, and then my skin, it was just so irritated, so itchy. I couldn't really do much with my hands because they hurt so much. And I remember sitting in the functional medicine practitioner's office, and I remember asking her, "So do you think I'll be okay?" And she said, "Yeah, I think you will." And it was just that little spark, that little piece of positivity that just, I was just so grateful for it. And then I remember when I was having my 3rd baby, it wasn't like my other pregnancies. I was having abnormal bleeding, and they wanted me to go to see my practitioner every week because they just wanted to make sure that the baby was okay. And I was so scared because I I had not been through that with my other kids, and the practitioner just took my hand and she's like, "It's okay, we're going to figure this out. It's okay." And then later when I saw the OB, because I was working with midwives and then I had to see the OB as well, the OB was like, "Oh, it's okay, you'll be fine. This happens sometimes." And it was just so reassuring. It made me have hope. It made me less scared. But oftentimes we don't get that from other providers, right? Sometimes they say, "Oh, we don't know what's wrong," or they've run all the tests and they say there's nothing wrong with you, or they'll say, "Yeah, you have this test result, so you're going to have to deal with this for the rest of your life." I hate messages of fear, messages that are so just rigid and helpless, when God tells a different story. Going back to the verse that I read, God said, "Behold, I have given you every plant yielding seed that is on the face of all the earth, and every tree with seed in its fruit. You shall have them for food." God is our provider. He was our provider for us from the very beginning. And guess what? God doesn't change. The same God that put plants on the earth for us to eat, who put all these amazing herbs for our healing, these healing foods and animals for us to eat. He's the same God that protected the Israelites from all the plagues, the same God who helped the Israelites cross the Red Sea and escape Pharaoh, escape years of slavery. That's the same God that we serve today. So if you're feeling discouraged about your health, if you're in pain, if you've been struggling for years, I just want to encourage you, maybe go back to the stories in the Bible, read through some of the stories in Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, how God healed so many people. It's the same God. We serve the same God. I've been looking into this, and I know some Christians believe that God doesn't do that today, or we don't have the same spiritual gifts as the apostles did. I encourage you to look into that for yourself, because when I started doing that, I realized that I don't believe that that's true at all. I believe that that's a lie. God still performs miracles today. So if you need more encouragement, just search the Bible for how God showed up for his people again and again and again, even after they kept turning their backs, even after they kept worshiping other gods. God still showed up for them. He keeps showing up for them. He keeps showing up for us, even when we don't notice it, even though we don't necessarily want him in our lives. He still loves us so much, and he keeps showing up. If you need some encouragement for your health, you can listen to episodes 62 and 63, where my guest talks about how her mom was given a few months to live, and she was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, and she was healed. You can go to episodes 20 and 21, where my guest talks about how God led her to change her diet, and she was healed from rheumatoid arthritis and Crohn's. You can go to episodes 32 and 33, where my guest talks about how her patients have experienced healing from whatever symptoms they have had. I've heard at least 4 stories of people who have healed naturally from cancer, even stage 4 cancer. I've heard this from people that I know. So don't lose hope. There's always hope, because we serve the maker of heaven and earth. God works on his own timing. He works in his own way. Regardless of what it looks like right now, God wants us to have hope. He wants us to have faith. He wants us to know that he's a good father and that he cares about us. I wanted to also remind you of the story of Sarah and Abraham in Genesis. Sarah wanted to have a baby, but she couldn't. But God made a promise. He promised Abraham that he would be the father of many nations. He said that Abraham would have countless descendants. But do you know how long that took? Sarah was 90 years old and Abraham was 100 years old when they gave birth to Isaac. And guess what happened in the middle? Sarah told Abraham to sleep with Hagar, and that caused a whole mess. Also, think about Joseph in the Old Testament. He was 17 years old when he started having dreams that people would bow down to him. He was 17. After he had those dreams, he was sold off to slavery by his brothers. He was falsely accused. He was in jail for years. It wasn't until he was 30 years old that he became Pharaoh's second person in command. It took 13 years for him to have the kind of power that he saw in his dreams. We don't always know what God is doing. We don't understand his timing. I always say, I wish that I had this button. I wish I could just press a button and I could see a breakthrough in this area of my life or in this area. Or I wish I could press a button and see healing in right away in your life. Sometimes God does that. God can absolutely heal instantaneously, and I believe he still does. But I know for some of you, you've been waiting for a while. So for those of you who are waiting for something to change when it comes to your health, or something to change in your marriage, or with your kids, or with your friendships, or in your workplace, or with your business, I want to remind you, and I also want to remind myself, who we serve. Because we can so easily forget that. We so easily forget the times where God performed a miracle. Like I was saying before, God split the Red Sea for the Israelites. And yet, a little while later, when they were in the wilderness, they were crying out to God and saying, "Why did you bring us here? We're just going to die here. We should have stayed in Egypt." Even though they were slaves, they wanted to go back. They forgot that, I don't know if they forgot or that wasn't enough for them that God split the Red Sea. They just complained and they didn't trust God. A lot of times we do the same thing. We forget what God has done in the Bible and for us. So as a reminder, I just want to remind you of who we serve. We serve the living God, Joshua 3:10. God is our refuge, Psalm 62:8. He is your helper, Psalm 54:4. He is the Most High God, Daniel 3:26. He is the faithful God, Deuteronomy 7:9. He is God at hand, Jeremiah 23:23. My salvation, Psalm 51:14. God of seeing, Genesis 16:13. My exceeding joy, Psalm 43:4. A consuming fire, Deuteronomy 4:24. The Lord mighty in battle, Psalm 24:8. Provider, Genesis 22:14. My rock, my fortress, my deliverer, my stronghold, Psalm 18:2. My shepherd, Psalm 23:1. Your healer, Exodus 15:26. Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace, Isaiah 9:6. Light for the nations, Isaiah 42:6. I am, Exodus 3:14. I'm so glad that you took the time to listen today. If you liked what you heard, will you leave me a review on Apple Podcasts so that this show can reach more people? And if you want to connect with me, go to herholistichealing.com. Matthew 11, verses 28 through 30. Come to me, all who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and lowly in heart, and you will find rest for your souls.
For you. is easy and my burden is light.